Tomlin is no longer with the organization. What's your reporting and sense as to why this happened, Gerry?
Rich, the one thing I learned today in talking to Art Rooney II was that he intended to bring Mike Tomlin back for another year. So this wasn't a case, if anybody thinks that, that maybe the Steelers pushed him out or there was some agreement, you stepped down, we'll let you say you stepped down, but we want to make a change. That wasn't the case. When you've been in it 19 years, you're getting closer to the end than you are to the beginning. I don't think there's any question some of the failed frustration, 9 years without a playoff win. We all know it's 7 losses in a row, 9 one-and-dones. I'm sure it took a toll on Mike Tomlin. And so was I shocked? No, but I was a little surprised because I had not, other than just the rumors, which I don't put a lot of stock in. I didn't get any sense from him. Rich, you have a nice relationship with him, and he's a football junkie. He loves the game of football, and I just didn't see him walking away from it at this point in time. He always views every season as a challenge, and Lord knows, the last however many years, 7 playoff appearances in a row. But he's been in the postseason 5 of the last 6 years, and the frustration of not getting beyond that, I think probably, it took its toll.
Well, he's a king of saying he doesn't listen to the outside noise, but the question is, did he hear it? He doesn't live in a cave, he lives in the community there, and he must know. He must be aware. He certainly heard it a couple of times in the stadium loudly this year, that there's a large section of the fan base that had enough of his tenure there. And I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why he did step down, that he heard it and he didn't want to be part of it anymore.
Well,
Gerry?
there's no question, Rich, he heard it because he's acknowledged in those instances, especially the one game during the regular season, the Buffalo game. He heard it and he said that. But how did it bother him? Oh, I'm sure he didn't like it. But no, he's not the type to let the outside fan noise or any disgruntled fan base chase him out from what he wants to do, especially when he has the backing of the ownership, which he did. And so I'm sure it played a small part in it. I don't know if this was the case. Maybe Mike Tomlin thought, we're not going forward here, and I'm actually harming the franchise. I'm actually harming the fan base. I can't tell you he thought that, but I wouldn't be surprised if, he kind of unselfishly thought that way and thought maybe it's just time. And again, he's been at it 19 years. And Rich, I've always, from what I've seen the last couple of years, look, this isn't about whether Mike Tomlin's a good coach or not. We know that. 193 wins, 8 division titles, 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win, 5 of the last 6 years in the postseason. This was about just the environment. And I've never, you hear people talk about this, that, you don't make change for the sake of changing, but I thought it was time to make a change for the sake of changing.
How is this all landing there in Pittsburgh? Are people mostly happy, disappointed, sad? How would you describe the boots on the ground there?
Rich, for all the people who were claiming and clamoring for Mike Tomlin to be fired and it's time to get rid of him, I would just tell you in the short day and a half here now, all the people that I hear from, whether on social media, in chats that I do, in emails, whatever the case may be, all those people, I haven't heard from any of them dancing in the streets. And I think a lot of those people, who were screaming for Mike Tomlin, maybe they're quietly rejoicing, celebrating, which of course to me is preposterous. But then, I don't sit in that camp. But I think, as I believe I said earlier, it was time for a change, and that's no reflection on Mike Tomlin's ability as a head coach. That's been proven. I don't need to sit here and talk about it. And so I think the vast majority of the people understand that that's the case. But I do think that there's a lot of them who realize, wow, 19 years, this guy, let's face it, Rich, if he's not the most iconic coach in the NFL, he's right up there now, with Andy Reid, now that Bill Belichick is gone. And so when you see that after 19 years, the same amount of career wins as Chuck Noll, you sit there and you go, whoa, that's a big loss no matter what you felt about it. And it's a big void. And, Mike Tomlin was the face of the Steelers and maybe the face of Pittsburgh. You can make that argument. So whatever way you leaned on a decision, I don't think there's any question the departure of Mike Tomlin. You sit there and you go, I mean, that's a big loss, I think, for the city, even though Steeler fans would maybe think it was a gain for the franchise. Well, some Steeler fans think it would be a gain for the franchise.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.